Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to be doing a comparison between the Hermes Birkin and the Chanel flat bag. So yeah, I recently got this bag this year. This is the Chanel Funky Town, but this is like my version of like a Chanel classic flap. So I know some people will be like, it's not a fair comparison because this isn't a classic flap, but this is kind of my version of a classic flap. And then I've had my Birkin now for like a year. So this is going to be like my 1 year review of my Birkin and my thoughts on my Chanel Funky Town and a comparison between like Chanel and Hermes and the Chanel flat bag and the Hermes Birkin. I know those bags get compared a lot and you know they're like the main sort of bags, iconic bags from those two brands. So I thought I would put them head to head today in this video. So yeah, I thought I would start off by talking to you about my Chanel Funky Town bag. I really love this bag. I think it is so cool. I love the chunky chain on it. Yeah, this was from the Spring Summer 2022 collection, which I absolutely loved. It was like a throwback to the 90s, like 80s Chanel collections. So I really loved it. And yeah, so yeah, I've had this bag for quite a while now, since like April, I believe, and I've been using it and loving it. So yeah, there are some things that I noticed about it though, that I wanted to point out in this kind of review. So one thing I noticed on the bag was that the gold on the hardware of the chain is like slightly different to the hardware on the CC lock. I don't know if it will pick it up on the video, but this is like more shiny and like a bit of a richer gold, and this is more matte and like a sort of lighter gold, if you can see that. So yeah, I noticed that. I didn't actually notice this in the shop when I bought it. But what I've realized about this now is that actually, initially I was like a little bit like, oh, is it gonna get even lighter over time and then become like the CC logo and then become like really silvery and look totally wrong with the darker gold chain. But what I've realized over time is that actually this CC seems to have like some kind of like coating on it, like a matte sort of coating, I guess, to give it like this sort of aged look. And what I've noticed is that over time, this kind of like wears off a little bit and it becomes more gold. So I think it's just a finish on top to give it like a more distressed looking antique gold look. And like, because what I was worried about is that it already like started, the gold had already started to become silver, and then like it would just look more and more silver over time. But what I've realized is it's actually got more gold over time. So I think like the chain also had this kind of matte sort of finish on it as well, but it's kind of wears off because you're always handling the chain all the time. So yeah, so it's not noticeable on the chain. But some people did mention about the chain that like they noticed like dust on it, like in the connections and stuff. And I think that's because it had this kind of distressed effect applied to it. But over time, it becomes a bit more gold. So that is something I noticed about the bag as well. Another thing I noticed is like, the leather is like different on different parts of the bag. So like the leather on the underneath the flap here, I've just got this felt in it to stop it from getting dented. This is like a stiffer leather, and then this is like a softer leather on this top flap. And you can kind of like see the difference. And I don't know if that's to like add more structure to the bag, to have this sort of stiffer leather on the front. But also on the back pocket as well, you can notice it a bit as well. So yeah, those are just some things I noticed about the bag that I thought were a bit, you know, strange. But I've got kind of used to them now. I'm kind of like fine with it. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking about my Chanel Funky Town bag. I'm still really loving it and really like getting use out of it, and I think it goes with quite a lot. But yeah, so comparatively to the Hermes Birkin, so I just put the Chanel bag down here for now. So yeah, the leather on the Birkin, this is the Birkin 40 in Togo, black Togo leather with gold hardware. So yeah, the leather on this is like really robust, it's really like amazing, and yeah, it's quite different to the Chanel bag, the Chanel Funky Town. I feel like the leather, this is lambskin, and this, I believe this is like cow leather, like, yeah. This is much more delicate and yeah, not quite as hard wearing as this leather. So I do have to be more careful with this bag when I'm using it, that it doesn't get scratched or anything like that. And that's why I've also put in this little felt thing inside the flap here, because even the quilts on the leather will dent the leather inside the flap here if I don't have this piece of felt. So that's why I put this piece of felt here, because I was noticing that there was getting like dents from the quilting in this inner flap leather. So that's how like delicate the leather is. It's really quite delicate. Whereas like the leather on this is much like more robust. Like I just feel like the overall quality that you get on a Birkin is just like the best, you know. And I feel like when you're buying an Hermes Birkin, you're really buying it because it is the most exceptional bag that you can buy. Like the craftsmanship, the entire interior of the bag is leather as well. I'll open it up and show you. So yeah, the craftsmanship on these bags is just exceptional, and it is obviously the, you know, that's what Hermes is known for. So yeah, there's all leather lined as well, so it's really amazing. You know, this bag has a fabric lining. I know the classic flaps have like the leather lining as well. But yeah, I mean, I just find like the Hermes bags are just made so well. And that's really what you're paying for, that's what you're buying into when you're buying a Birkin, is you're getting like the most exceptional bag that you can get, and that's what they're kind of known for. So in terms of like Chanel versus Hermes, like for me personally, like I prefer Hermes because I just find that the quality is just so much better. Like it's not like the quality on this bag is bad, but like I shouldn't be noticing things like about the bag, like the hardware being a different color and like the leather texture being different. Like it should all be the same. It should all be like matching. And those little things about the bag make me feel like, you know, it isn't really worth, like this bag is £4,000 and I just don't feel like it feels like a £4,000 bag. Like the leather doesn't feel like the highest quality leather. So yeah, I would just say like that's why, and I just don't feel like the craftsmanship feels, you know, as high level as you get with Hermes. So yeah, I think for me personally, like Hermes wins and Hermes Birkin wins. But you know, you can't get the look of a Chanel bag at Hermes. So really, I only wanted to have like one Chanel bag just to have the look of a Chanel bag, because you can't get that look from anywhere else. So yeah, for me, I probably won't ever get a Chanel bag again because, you know, I'm happy with this one and I just wanted to have one in my, like, you know, my collection. Because then I can style it with outfits and it just, you know, works. But yeah, I don't really see myself like going out to buy like loads more Chanel bags, because for me, like, I've got one, that's kind of enough for me. Like I've got the look that I wanted. and I don't feel like I want to buy loads more, because I just feel like I prefer the quality and the craftsmanship of Hermes bags. So if I was going to invest in more bags, I would buy them from Hermes. So yeah, and then I know this isn't a classic flap, and like the quality of the classic flaps is obviously higher. This is a seasonal bag, so the quality on the seasonal bags from Chanel isn't, you know, to the same level of craftsmanship as the classic flaps. But I've looked at lots of classic flaps as well in the past, and I haven't really been like wowed by them. The classic flap also bores me quite a lot. Like I just feel like I've seen it too much, and that's why I got this version, because I just feel like it's more unique and a little bit more exciting. So this is my kind of version of a classic flap, because I just find the classic flaps to me just don't really excite me that much. So yeah, I like this version of it. So, and it does have the same kind of look as a classic flap, because it's got the back pocket, it's got like the flap with the CC, and the quilting and everything, and the chain. So you get the same kind of feel with this bag as what you get with the classic flap, but yeah, I just prefer this one personally. So yeah, that's my little video on like the Hermes Birkin and the Chanel Funky Town or flat bag, and yeah, a little bit of like my update of like how I'm getting along with my Birkin after a year as well. Yeah, I really have nothing bad to say about it. Like, I love the size of it. The only thing is about it is like it is quite wide, and that's the only thing I found about it, is that it is quite wide, and I do find like it sticks out quite a lot, and it does take up a lot of space. So yeah. So yeah, that is my little Hermes versus Chanel, and how, you know, my 1 year with my Birkin, and a review of my Chanel Funky Town bag. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So that's all for this video. So I'll see you in my next one.